Hello, welcome back to the channel. So this is the final one of my videos where I'm looking at Perry miniature War of the Roses infantry. Probably do a couple more videos talking about the cavalry. Now I'm talking about the Billmen. So War of the Roses, you basically got three broad types of infantry. You've got men at arms, and they're the heavy foot knights, generally lords, nobility, wealthier troops. You've got the archers, who were kind of commoners and were bows, often in the service of a lord. And billmen. And billmen are commoners with melee weapons, and actually billhooks, spears, probably some of the most effective weapons that mankind's ever used. So what I've done with these models starting out, undercoated black. I've gone for a really quick paint job on this. As you see, there's basically 3 stages for every colour. So start off black, I'll put the sand down, glued the sand down. Once it's all dried, undercoated it with the sand on. Undercoat helps keep the sand on it. Next up, because these tend to be a bit more heavily armoured, there's probably a lot more metals on them than there is with the bowman. I've worked on the metal, just thrown that on. It doesn't matter about how accurate I'm going to be with this because I've not painted anything else. So ultimately, if you're using nice thin coats of paint on your brush, controlling how much is on your brush, you shouldn't worry too much about it clogging up detail. So I've just, as you see here, there's a bit of metal on his legs there, just thrown it on. Next up, I've started the rest of the other colours. So what I've been doing, Racha Flesh for kind of a standard sort of linen-y, woolly colour. The livery colours, in this case red and green. I've used a bit of brown on the bag. Because the belt is against red and green, I've done that Racha Flesh. If it was against another colour, you'll see later on, where there's a bit of white, I might paint it sort of darker brown just to stand out. Bit of a mustard colour. The shoes I've used Montfang brown, and that is because I use Steel Legion drab, which would be a great colour for them, but Steel Legion drab I'm going to use in the base, and so I kind of want it to stand out a bit. And on my wood, I do XV88. So it is relatively neat. I've got the colours where I've wanted it to go. I've been working fast, so there will be bits like here where the colour isn't quite where I need it to be. That's fine. I'm going to trust the process. The shade's going to cover a lot of the wee mistakes and darken everything down for us. The base as well, I've used Dryad Bark, and you'll see later on I'm going to use Steel Legion Drab over top, and then sort of like a Wraithbone over top of that as a lighter highlight. And that's just done with dry brushing. But there you go. So I mentioned before, trust the process. So I've shaded everything with Agrax Earth Shade top to toe. There's lots of schools of thoughts on shading, whether you should do individual colours with specific colours of shades, Null Oil and Agrax Earth Shade. I like Agrax Earth Shade because it tones most colours. Null Oil doesn't always work well with every colour. But you see it's darkened everything down, added a bit of shading, and actually see on this wood bit here, it's actually came away really nicely, and this isn't going to need any highlight, and that's as good as it is. But you see how it's shaded everything. With this sort of studded jerkin affair, I've gone for sort of a reddy brown with that as well to stand out. I might, once I've finished, do a little bit of dry brush over the white, because these will be metal kind of studs sticking out. And when I'm painting as well, what I'll do is a load of stuff with Racha Flesh, boom, 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 be it legs and arms or belts. Then I'll get the sort of Zandri Dust. Zandri Dust is also a good colour. But I think it was a Zamizi Desert for like a mustard colour, and I'll do different things with that. So because I'm working on maybe 6 models at a time, I can do different things with different colours. So do get sort of the uniform guide of the sort of household colours, but I can also dip around and make them look slightly more regular, as you would expect medieval commoners to look. So the next stage, after I've done my shading, I'm going to go back with the base colours and I'm going to paint it on, leaving the recesses with dark shade. With the metal, I've gone for a much lighter metal, and I'm really sort of polishing up the metal, leaving the dark in the recesses there. You can see even here I've not had to do any work with the bill handle, and that has shaded itself lovely. You see here I've put Steel Legion drab over the base, then I've picked out some patches with Fenrisian grey, no, the Fang, to make it look like stones. The other models I've done had slightly bigger grains of sand, so I've painted some of those with the Fang. So this will help keep things unified together. And you see on the back here with the Rakar flesh where I've left it in the recesses. And then coming around to this guy, I've done just a final bit of extra highlighting on this. So Mephiston Red back up to Evil Sun Scarlet on some of the raised bits. On the sort of mustard bits, I've done a much lighter highlight on. The other thing I've got going on here is the flesh tones. I've not spoken about how I do skin. Contrast paints, you know what, this methodology works really quick for me. What contrast paints work really well for me, is I will paint any skin, especially on models where there's not a lot of skin, Wraithbone, as you'll see on this Billmen. Simple Wraithbone, and then I'll throw Guilliman flesh over top of it for Caucasian, sort of Western European skin. Comes up perfectly. Like I say, you can see in the video here, I've had to paint very little on there, just apply the Guilliman flesh to it. Now from different household troops, these are a couple of finished models. So you can see here, I've dry brushed the top of the base with Wraithbone, added some flock to it, and you can see how the stones kind of just stand out and just add that wee bit extra to the base. The sort of mustard colour, we touches of highlights on them just to make it stand out. How I've used different colours on the leggings. Obviously these are different household troops, but I have mixed up sort of grey as well as this sort of wool colour. Break it up in a unit as well. As I said before, the tabards I want it to be uniform, but quite a bit of variation in the rest of the kit, as you'd expect it. But there you go, really quick, really simple War of the Roses armies. They're lovely models. They take paint really well. There's enough detail on them to be interesting, but not so much that it's so busy for painting. So next step, like I say, I've got two, never mind the billhook, approximate size forces together. My next step is to get them up together combined and hopefully play some War of the Roses battles using Hail Caesar. And I have my eye on eventually running a big Siege of Carlisle Castle from the rulebook. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you're having a great time with the hobby at the moment. I know I certainly am. Haven't got my mojo back, and I look forward to chatting to you in another video. That's goodbye for now. Goodbye.